I have been thinking, as I'm sure everybody who has consumed this today has been doing as well, about my kids who happen to be about the same ages as the two who were killed, about sending them off to school this morning. I've been thinking about their friends and their teachers, about all the parents, about all the grandparents out there navigating the return to school. And all they should be hoping to do is have someone to sit with at lunch or someone to play with on the playground. And they should be waiting to hear an update when they get home. And that is not what these parents at this school experience today. Sorry, this is a tough one. Having your child killed while they are sitting in a pew for a morning prayer service is not what any parent should have to worry about. And I have felt a mixture of anger and a lot of anger and emotional exhaustion about this today, as I'm sure many of you have, because we have been here so many times. And yet again, like clockwork, half of the politicians in our country have little more to offer than thoughts and prayers. That is all they are offering. Join all of us in praying for the victims, was Vice President J.D. Vance's response today. That's what he said. That's it. Please join me in praying for everyone involved, Trump wrote.
A tragic event, and the usual players come out grifting. Welcome to another installment of the Connecticut Gun Bench. Today's video is brought to you by P.A.N. Firearms, LLC. P.A.N. Firearms, your NRA certification of multifaceted gun training. You can reach us at 203-300-6343 or use our website at www.panfirearmsllc.com. As always, there'll be a link in the description box below. If you like channel, like content, what I do, you can support me with a link. Everything is appreciated. Online store is open. CGB20 will get you 20% off, free shipping. Connecticut residents, you got to pay that sales tax. I have no say in the matter. But CGB20 will get you 20% off. Let's talk about this. And this, of course, we should be at the forefront of all of our minds. And the victims of yet another tragic event that is once again being used to play certain people's agendas, when what they're trying to push forward has nothing to do with what actually happened. As we know, a man went to the Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and opened fire on a group of children and adults who were attending a morning mass at the school.
Welcome back. It's 10:29 a.m. Eastern Time, and we are getting very disturbing reports of a shooting at a Minneapolis Catholic church.
So this all happened apparently at Annunciation Church in the city of Minneapolis. I'm hearing from multiple law enforcement sources, including Minneapolis law enforcement sources and federal, that this does sound to be significant and serious. They're being told that there are, quote, multiple casualties here. We don't want to talk about any numbers yet or any possible fatalities, but we are told this does sound to be very significant, very serious, with multiple casualties reported. Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, tweeting out that this was a, quote, horrific act of violence. As we wait for details on what happened here, the ATF posted on X that they are responding to reports of a, quote, active shooter.
Killed 2, injured 17. Immediately, and every time this happens, I sit there and I go, here it comes. And sure enough, it didn't take long.
But here's the thing. There are trans people all over the world. There are anti-Semitic people, unfortunately, all over the world. And people filled with plenty of political hate all over the world. And mental health issues are not unique to the United States. And yes, we should do more to address them. But it's also an issue all over the world. But this is the only country where shootings like this one happen this often. The United States not only has the highest rate of gun violence of any country in the world, it's become a leading cause of death for young people and teenagers in this country. That should make everybody angry. Weaponizing the shooter's identity is meant to distract from what matters. That is what they are doing, trying to distract from what matters. Here's what matters. Today's shooter bought the rifle, handgun, and shotgun they used to do what they did today legally. We live in a country with more guns than people, where there are not universal background checks, there are not bans on assault weapons, and it is far too easy to buy a gun. It's the guns, everyone. It's not really a secret.
Here come the usual players with we need gun control and gun control this and background check that, and nothing they propose has any basis or any validity in preventing what is actually happening here. I always wait a few days with these things because at some point you're going to start to get the facts. And they all came out gung-ho with their anti-gun rhetoric. But now information is starting to come out about the shooter. And immediately it seems that they're going to rally around and defend the trans community.
Anybody who is using this as an opportunity to villainize our trans community or any other community out there has lost their sense of common humanity. We should not be operating out of a place of hate for anyone. We should be operating from a place of love for our kids.
This has nothing to do with the trans community. It has to do with this individual who happens to be trans, who from all intentional purposes is out of his mind. I've seen the YouTube video where he did his manifesto and this person was out of their freaking minds, and it had nothing to do with them being trans in the sense of being trans caused this. No, it had everything to do with the fact that this person was out of their freaking minds. Of course, I want to focus on the backlash that's now starting to come out. It seems that there's a rush to make the shooter look like some sort of victim because of the group that he belongs to, and the people who were actually shot are no longer victims. When people were sending thoughts and prayers, Christians were sending thoughts and prayers to the victims, the mayor comes out and says this.
Don't just say this is about thoughts and prayers right now. These kids were literally praying. It was the first week of school. They were in a church. These are kids that should be learning with their friends. They should be playing on the playground. They should be able to go to school or church in peace without the fear or risk of violence, and their parents should have the same kind of assurance.
Enough with thoughts and prayers. Wait a minute. Christian people sending thoughts and prayers to Christian people who were injured and killed. We don't need thoughts and prayers. Yeah, we do actually, because what did God tell us? He told us repeatedly, if you abandon me, I will leave you to your devices. I will leave you to your sin. And this is what comes out of it. Situations like this. This place was targeted. It was absolutely targeted because apparently this person's mother worked there for a short spell, about 4 years. And according to a person who was attached to it, he confirmed that. But that does not excuse what he did. And of course, we're now, for weeks, we're going to hear about gun control. For weeks. Gun control, gun control, gun control. And you know Walz he's a simp. Walz is just, he's going to fall right in line with this and push for all kinds of nonsense when it comes to guns and gun ownership. That's a given. We know that's going to happen. I want to focus in on this interview between Jen Psaki and the mayor of Minneapolis, who is at the forefront of literally making this do not attack the trans community over this issue person. But Jen Psaki goes on this tirade. Let me be clear about something. Everything that she mentioned in that little spiel of hers, none of it would have prevented what happened. This person, and I'm not going to mention his name because the dude's a lunatic. I'm not giving him any validity. You know who he is. But his manifesto was insane. But he passed the background check. He passed the NICS check. And she says, a country that doesn't have universal background checks, he would have passed a universal background check too. It's no different. So that wouldn't have stopped anything. An assault weapons ban, which wouldn't have prevented what happened here. You know, these people are the first ones to say, don't politicize tragic events. And they're the first ones to politicize tragic events. And the twisted part is they're now trying to downplay the shooter as if he had no responsibility for this because of his affiliation with a specific group.
It's so fresh here. It's just happened this morning. And there's already been sort of some effort, which I think is so sick and disgusting, to let's weaponize some of the details, even if we don't know a lot at this point in time. And obviously the law enforcement in your city have been keeping people abreast, including details about the individual possibly being trans, about the individual possibly having negative things to say about Trump, about some things that have been on the weapons. A lot of this is just very early reporting. What do you do as a leader of your city to prevent details from being weaponized and using this to blame something other than the guns?
Remember Buffalo? White supremacy. That's all you heard. White supremacy, white supremacy. Now it's, no, you can't blame the trans community for this. You can't do that. Why? We're not blaming the trans community. We're blaming this individual who happens to be transgender. And this is becoming a reoccurring theme with violence in this country. Why not address this issue instead of skirting around it because it doesn't fit a specific narrative or agenda? That's the really disturbing part. This mayor is definitely woke, and he's playing all the cards. And it's disturbing that once again, the victims, much like Nashville, if you remember that, the victims have been put aside so that the narrative of gun control can now take center stage, while once again holding no accountability to the shooter. That's exactly what happened in Nashville. Think about it. It took almost a year to get the Nashville Shooters Manifesto. The only reason this one came out so fast was because it was on YouTube, and people had already recorded it before YouTube deleted the channel. This is a tragedy. Don't get me wrong. It's a tragedy. But the way that the media is playing this, and Psaki is just playing right along with the given agenda. She is truly nothing more than a Democrat shill. She's not a journalist. And she is playing right along. As soon as something like this happens, it's about assault weapons, it's about background checks, it's about all kinds of nonsense that has nothing to do with what actually happened that day. It's a shocking shame because in the end, let's be real, they don't give a damn about these children. It's just somebody else that they can use to push an agenda that has nothing to do with what actually happened.
What does that look like? I mean, you know well, obviously, from being a mayor for some time in Minneapolis, that there are gun laws in Minnesota that other states don't have, but there are some things that could still be done. Is that something that you hope people in the legislature have a will to do at this point in time?
We have more guns in America than people. Mm-hmm. Say it again. We have more guns in America than people. Why? Why is it so easy to get a gun? Why is it so easy to get a whole heap ton of guns? Why is it that you can buy a gun virtually every month if you wanted to? What good is that? We're not talking about your father's hunting rifle. We're talking about people that have gotten guns that seemingly, in this case, legally, that obviously have a whole ton of mental health issues. You're not right in the head if you're going to a church to shoot it up. You're not right in the head. But the fact that you have guns, in fact, many, many guns, why is that okay? You know, this has gone down in other countries, and they say, you know what, we're not going to allow this anymore. We don't want this to happen anymore. We're going to do something about it. It's got to be out of love for our kids. A common kind of humanity that you understand how deeply I love my little girl.
The mayor stands there and says, a person with serious mental illness can buy as many weapons as they want. No, they can't. No, they can't. A person, if his mental illness had been treated, he would have been flagged right away. He would have been flagged. And if on top of everything else, if he was being treated for these serious mental issues, he lied on the 4473. My thoughts and prayers do go out to those who lost their lives and those who are injured. Seeing that these people are grounded in God, I hope that they won't make the gun industry a scapegoat over this, because I'm sure there are lawyers all over the country lining up and running right now out there in Minneapolis to try to round up these people to get them to sue the gun companies. I'm sure that's happening. But I hope that they have more common sense than a lot of other people have had in the past when it comes to this issue, and literally point the finger where it needs to be pointed, at the shooter. Real shame. It's a shame. It was a targeted attack. It's just unfortunate that once again, we're not addressing the problem. We're skirting around it and deflecting to make it about the implement and how it was carried out. I'm glad that he did not get into the church. It was, from what I understand, the door was barricaded, but he did not get into the actual building where they were, which saved countless lives. But I do have one question in closing. Apparently, the Catholic organization out there in Minneapolis wrote to the governor back in 2023 after this Covenant shooting in Tennessee, asking for more security. Walls said, I am putting more money into school security, but in reality what he did, he put money into public school safety and not the parochial and private schools. So this school did not get any extra funding for security. But despite that, I would think that they would kind of say, there's been a lot of attacks on religious-based organizations. Maybe we need to cover our own behinds. I don't understand why they didn't do that. Every religious organization needs to start paying attention because they are becoming targets of those who are not very friendly to their ideals. But if you're allowed to carry in your state and you are a regular attendee of religious services, need I put two and two together? You need to go ahead and start carrying. Because, like I said, you don't get to pick and choose when evil comes knocking at your door. But let me know what you think. As always, you can leave your comments in the comment section below. And as always, any statements of violence or things that lead to violence will be removed. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you're notified the next time a video goes live. I'm going to see you on the next one. Peace.